Intracanopy lighting. It's becoming more and more popular these days. Some say it's worth it, while others say it's a waste of energy and money. What is intracanopy lighting, and what is your overall thoughts on it?
So our typical sort of traditional lighting is from above, and so you'd have your grow tent, you'd have multiple plants in your tent, and typically you try to grow a plane of green, sea of green, so that it'll like a solar panel, it'll capture all the photons from the light source, and of course convert it into energy and into growth. What's happening now is that I suppose the boundaries are starting to be pushed in terms of how much light the plants can take. And to push that to its extreme, people are starting to use intra-canopy lighting, which would be lighting that would be positioned either down the side or underneath the plants, and basically lighting it from below or from the side. And the theory is that you can get more growth out of the same square footage. So you can increase your yield per square foot by adding additional lighting underneath and at the side, as I say.
Okay, and would you say it's worth it to do that, or would you say it's not really worth it? You don't really see much of a gain from it.
So I'm just going to take it one small step back in that other research has been showing recently that plants can absorb more light than we previously thought, in particular medicinal herbs. So typically, right way back when we were growing with HPS, we would have been delivering somewhere around 500 to 600 micromoles of PAR. That's a measure of light intensity that plants can use. And with the increased usage of LEDs, and in particular the reduced heat from LEDs, we're kind of able to put a lot more light into grow areas now without the environment suffering. And people have been pushing that up to about 800 or 900 micromoles, so nearly twice as much. That's over the last 3 or 4 years. And now the most recent sort of study and practice by commercial growers and people pushing the performance of the plants, I found that you can comfortably go up to about 1200 micromoles on a 12-hour cycle, which is about, it's nearly 50% more again. So about 2.5 times what we used to only 5 or 6 years ago. And one way of achieving that, particularly if you have invested in a system of lighting from above, which is delivering, say, that average of about 800 or 900, is to add additional light fixtures underneath and on the side. And in that case, if your per square footage of micromoles is hitting about 1200, that's a good return. You could push it a little bit higher than that, but you're starting to get a reduced rate of return the more light energy you're putting in. The plants aren't able to absorb all that. But yeah, I think there's huge potential for growers to basically push to get 50% more yield from the same area that they're growing in today.
That's pretty interesting. And I'll be completely transparent with you. I did try side lighting several years back. Chill Tech came out with one. They came out with 2 different ones, actually. And I tried using it. And I'm just a small home grower. So I'm only really growing for myself. And the yields I get just naturally with overhead lighting is sufficient for me. And so I quickly used and then got rid of my side lighting. I can see how it would be a benefit for commercial facilities, or those folks that maybe you are a home grower and maybe you've maxed out that grow space and you've gotten the highest yields you think you can ever get out of that grow space. Well, that might be for you to introduce intercanopy lighting at that point. But for somebody like me who's a small home grower, I don't see myself ever going back to intercanopy lighting just because I'm able to get what I'm looking for in regards to yield just from overhead lighting. So I think I mentioned that one.
And I would tend to agree with you. And for most growers, I would only recommend that sort of 800 or 900 average. And that's, how I design my lights is to deliver that, because the analogy that a lot of people use is this sort of driving a Ferrari, that when you start to get up to those really high power numbers, the difficulty is if you have a bottleneck somewhere else. So if some other part of either your environment control or your nutrients or even your growing medium is not able to support that growth rate, then you're not going to deliver it. So I'd be right there with you that For some growers who are able to push that performance and want to push it further, absolutely. For most, I wouldn't recommend it either.
This clip is brought to you by AC Infinity. Use discount code MrGrowIt15 to save on any of their products.